Hello everyone and welcome to a Guild Wars 2 Beta Weekend number 2 video. This one's going to be about the Mesmer and my impressions of it as a class. I played the Mesmer for the first Beta Weekend, got up to about level 11 I think, and I've continued playing it in this Beta Weekend, so I feel like I have enough knowledge now to say what I think about it, basically. I've played mages in other games, so I've wanted to branch out a bit, be something a bit different, and I thought the Mesmer might be it, you know, it's a bit different. Oh, I played a ritualist in, Factions, Guild Wars Factions as well, so that is quite similar to this one. And so I'm just going to do a little recap on the Mesmer's mechanics and stuff. Her main mechanics are her illusions, which are physical representations of your character. She can hold up to 3 illusions on the battlefield at once, and they require a target, which is a thing I don't like. But before I go into that, the illusions are categorised into 2 different types. You've got clones, which have your character's appearance, your character's weapons and name. They have low health and low damage, however. And then you have phantasms, which have your appearance, but they have a sort of translucent purple glow to them. And they normally have a skill name, depending on what skill you use to summon them. So I think the offhand pistol has like illusionary duelist, and that's an example of what the name will be. So it won't have whatever your character's name is. And they have their own weapons, ranges, appearance and behaviours, and they have higher health and higher damage than the clone alternatives. Now, to do with those illusions, the clones, I don't think, although they look exactly like you, they may not act like you, because you might be running away like a girl or a man, running away like anyone really. But they don't fool PvP players, because when you summon one, they don't get distargeted from you. So, I mean, that'd be really annoying if it did. Every time you summoned an illusion, they got untargeted. But so you summon one and they're still targeting you, so they'll just ignore it, since, as I said, the clones have low damage and low health. So they're not really used for too much. I mean, you get some pretty good ones. There's some good ones I found. And then phantasms obviously don't look like you, so they're not going to mistake you. So it's not a form of mirror image like from other MMOs where you can mistake who's the real one and who's not. Unless you're obviously just coming completely new into the battlefield, you've turned the corner and there's 3 of them there. But then they'd have to be attacking someone, and maybe they could see whoever's attacking that person and go for their target maybe. And they've got another little secondary sort of skill, which are mantras, which I didn't find too much thing. They're like skills which you cast for about 3 seconds, and that holds the charge for the attack, and then so you can like channel them before you go into battle, and then when you get into battle unleash loads of them. But if you want to do them again, you have to charge for another 3 seconds. So, you know, they're like stockable moves. You stock them up before you go into fights. And in terms of the Mesmer as a class, they wear light armour because they're like a magey type class. And they have several weapons they can hold. They can hold 2-handed greatswords, which is actually a ranged weapon in this case, and a 2-handed staff, which focuses on conditions to enemies and buffs to your allies and yourself. And you've got a main hand scepter, which causes blind and confusion at range, and is actually really good at getting your illusions up. The main hand scepter is, because it has auto attack. Everything has an auto attack, and every 3rd auto attack, because it cycles through 3 with a scepter, gives you a new illusion. So that's really good at getting illusions up, the scepter is. And you have a main hand sword, which focuses on melee range attacks and character movement. So you get a couple of evade moves like thieves do. And then you have a variety of offhand weaponry, foci, pistols and torches. Foci, offensive and defensive illusions. Pistols give you a bit more DPS and multi-target conditions, like you fire 1 bullet and it bounces between 3, giving blind, confusion and daze. And then you get torches, which give short invisibility and confused targets. And invisibility in this game is not very good, I don't think. The invisibility in this game is more of a Predator style invisibility. So when you go invisible, you sort of go semi-translucent, and the enemy can still see where you are, basically. Maybe not PvE enemies might not be able to, but PvP enemies certainly can. And also, they don't... believe they don't get distargeted from you either. So you go invisible, they're still targeted on you, they can just walk up to you again. Because me and my friend were having some fights and he said it didn't make a difference. I used my elite move where I go invisible and he just hit me out of it straight away, really. Though I made to dodge and stuff, but he just followed me around like I was invisible. And he's got some aquatic weapons, but I'm not going to go into them. And so the Mesmer, I didn't like the Mesmer. I thought it was interesting to begin with, but I soon became a bit bored of it. I mean, I think I came bored of the Ritualist a bit. I stuck with the Ritualist all the way to the end of the game in factions, but I did start to get into a bit of a routine, and I don't know, buffs and boons, I prefer things which have a little more visual acknowledgement, if you know what I mean. I mean, like, if I do a big damage move or something with a elementalist, or I do a charge move with a warrior, I know what's happening. I'm charging towards the opponent, or a big dragon spike comes down or something. So all they get is a little icon which burns them a bit or something. And buffs and boons, why do I keep saying that? Buffs and conditions, they seem to only last, 3 to 5 seconds. It's hardly anything really, especially the buffs, because you get a buff of speed for 3 seconds. You don't notice it really. One of the other things that I didn't like about the Mesmer skills is that your illusions, they die after you've killed the enemy. For example, there was this big tree elite thing me and loads of people were taking down, and he summoned these healing seed pods, and you have to kill them as fast as possible so he doesn't get his health back. And so I started to attack him, and I was using a two-handed staff, which isn't great damage. It was really crap damage actually, because I wasn't doing much damage to these seed pods at all. And so I felt a bit shit there, to be honest, but I may have been using the wrong weapon there. But I started to get up some illusions to fight this seed pod. It wasn't even fighting back. But I was getting some illusions up, and then I started to do okay damage to it, because 3 or 4 people doing auto attack damage is pretty good. But then it died, and there was a seed pod right next to it, but all my illusions died as well. So I don't even get to move to the right a little bit and attack that one. I don't think you can even click and send them all with that F1 ability to destroy them all to a different enemy. It has to be on the enemy that they were summoned to fight. I wish it was more of, if you're out of combat for 5 seconds or something, then they get destroyed. I thought that would be cool. I mean, necromancers get to keep their pets, and rangers get to keep one, but apparently they do low damage, half of them anyway. So I wish you could move them onto different enemies so you didn't have to keep starting from scratch. And another thing to do with those illusions that I didn't like was that they die so fast. I mean, this big tree thing, if I try doing illusions, which are your main sort of chunky for your damage really, he does the ground stomp and that's it. They're all just dead. And then he does a ground stomp, and it's not even a ground stomp big move, it's just like one of his normal big pound moves, and I can't do anything against it with my illusions anyway. They're gonna die. And so it seemed like a large chunk of my character was unusable in certain situations because of that. I mean, you get some phantasms which are ranged, like that illusionary duelist is a double pistol thing, but I think you only get one, and that's if you're using a certain weapon, and I think they still have to be relatively close. There's areas of these illusions which I'm just not happy with. Well, happy, I don't want to sound like a needy git, but I felt like I wasn't, it was all auto attack for me. It seemed like I wasn't actually doing much apart from trying to get my illusions up. But then you got the choice of whether to keep your illusions out to auto attack or destroy them all for a big chunk of damage, but then have to start from lower damage anyway. I know that's a risk that you're willing to take. You'll destroy them at the end of a fight and stuff, but with a ritualist in factions, you could at least summon those, I don't know what they were called there, probably, I don't know, spirits, that's what they're called. You could summon the spirits in a sort of key location to the fight, basically, out of the way a bit, and then they'd attack all enemies that are in range after they've attacked the one that you've told them to, and you'd have to go around summoning spirits in other key locations where your allies were, because certain spirits gave buffs and health regeneration and stuff like that, so you'd have to summon them near your allies. There are a couple like this. I remember one where you summon it and it does like a big bubble and it reflects all projectiles, which may be good for melee attackers because it was a melee attacking thing, so it'd be good to keep away projectiles from melee attackers. Okay, and so apart from that, I think that's about everything. So that's the main gist of my issues with the Mesmer. Now I guess I should probably try and make this a bit constructive. I mean, what could they do? I think they could extend the time that your illusions are out so that they don't die as soon as the enemy dies. They get, like, say 5 seconds of out of combat before they die. So that means if you're still in the fight, they can move to someone else. I know that kind of makes a little bit of an army that you're moving with, but apparently the damage is really low. It's like less than auto attack damage. And I think a lot more of those utility skills should be more attack based or something like that, because a lot of their utility skills are about removing boons, adding boons and stuff, and I know that's why you chose the class, but you might want to change, and so I think they should give me a few more options of physical attacks that you click and an attack comes out. I mean, there's a good one with the greatsword. I think it's utility 3. It's you stab your sword in the ground and then a sword pops up where the enemy is and hits them, and that's an example of the move that I kind of like, but it's also got an added benefit of that you don't need line of sight to do it, because it goes down in the ground and up at their position. So if you've got a tree in the way, they can't shoot you, but you can still stab the ground and get a sword to pop up and nick them in the backside. Yeah, so I think that's about it for the Mesmer and what I thought about it. They should improve areas. I wanted a more active character rather than these sit back and put buffs and boons and summon your guys and then auto attack all the time, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, just because I don't like it doesn't mean other people won't like it. And I'm going to try a different character now, really. So I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts, maybe. But yeah, you can comment and tell me if I'm wrong, maybe, or whether you think I'm wrong. But yeah, thank you for watching and listening. Mostly listening.